What's up, War Report family? I am your host for tonight's C-Dub. Last year, Auburn football rushed for over 200 yards per game. Can they repeat that in year one of Hugh Freeze era? The guys are here to discuss that, and we want to hear your thoughts as we chop it up on the latest midweek report. Let's get to it. Happy Wednesday, hump day. Welcome to the latest midweek report brought to you by our show sponsor, auburnsports.com. Guys, please be sure to show them love. Head over there and check out their content. Shout out to JG Tate and those guys for definitely rocking with us and being our day ones. Guys, support us by supporting our sponsors. Again, want to shout out auburnsports.com for being a supporter. Want to thank you guys again, and we'll be even more thankful if you shared this video on social media. That is Facebook, Twitter. Let people know that we're having the discussion about this running back room. If they're going to do damage this year, definitely share this video so they can get access to it. While you're here, smash the like button, guys. Help us out. All right? We ought to do something. You know how some people stop their show until they get the likes up? I don't know how well that'll be received, but like there are people who will stop their show like and pause.
We got 19 likes right now.
We ain't talking about another thing.
Yeah, like they'll just
10,000 likes. Yeah,
yeah. we may have to look into doing that. Y'all not taking me serious. But also smash the like button, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Tell them how they can become a member of the Green Name Gang and how they can access this amazing off-season content.
It's real simple. Click the join button. We go live on Thursdays breaking down film. Still got a lot of film left, guys. I have not run out. I promise you. I got plenty of film for us to get into. If you want to get access to those live streams, you have to be a member. If you want them on demand after the live stream, you have to become a patron. We got media days coming up. A lot of great things going to be happening during media days that you want to be a part of. That's going to be member only content. I will have some stuff for everybody as well. Don't worry about that. But we will have member only content during media days. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership to somebody, the first month can be on YouTube or randomly assign this to somebody. So make sure that you get yourself a little gift of the War Report to give to someone else. We definitely appreciate those who continue to do that. Giving away a t-shirt today. Hashtag get your weight up to get this War Report branded t-shirt. Go ahead and throw that hashtag in there. Sponsored by War Eagle Oil. And they definitely would appreciate you giving them a little bit of your change if you can. Yeah, that's all I got for right now. That's all we'll talk about.
Well, that's good. We'll just get into the show. Of course, we got a lot to talk about football-wise, as always. I mean, there's always stuff going on with the football program. But before we do want to acknowledge that Auburn basketball announced their 2023-24 schedule. And we can kind of talk about some of the highlights about that. We can first start by discussing the non-conference opponents. And that's something that Bruce Pearl has talked about, is really increasing the level of competition as it pertains to non-conference play. This year, Auburn is scheduled to play Virginia Tech, who went 19-15 last year, but they also will play the Baylor Bears, who's pretty much in the tournament year in, year out. They also play USC, who they lost to, if I'm not mistaken, on the road last year. Did I have that right, fellas?
USC, we lost to USC.
Yeah, we lost to them on the road.
That's right.
So we're playing them again this year. I'm assuming that's a home game.
Yup, it is.
So we got them at
the Bronny James game.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
LeBron
That's
James'
gonna be
son
pretty
is gonna
interesting.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be interesting. So
And Aiden Holloway versus Bronny James.
Yeah.
Now they played against each other in the McDonald's All-American game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be an interesting matchup for sure.
Woo. Your thoughts about the non-conference schedule?
It's tough. It's tough. No one can say that Auburn has a cupcake schedule this year. Indiana is a good program. USC is going to be a good program next year. Again, they beat us last year, and they didn't do anything but get better this offseason. Baylor has been perennially pretty good over the last decade, really, in basketball. There's not really a letdown in this schedule, other than the fact that I know a lot of people wanted to play Virginia instead of Virginia Tech in the ACC SEC challenge. But we do get Virginia Tech coming in here. They're a decent squad. They're not like world beaters, but ACC is not going to have really terrible basketball happening in that conference. So, yeah, I think the non-con schedule is tough, and they're going to learn a lot about themselves playing in those games before they get into conference play this year.
And I think that's been kind of Bruce Pearl's approach to kind of tweak some things before getting into conference play by playing some tough opponents as opposed to a light non-conference schedule and getting exposed once conference play begins. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to some revenge on USC for sure. But I know we got it pretty. It's a pretty interesting schedule. Mike G, what you make of the schedule, man?
Listen, I did what Ike said, right? Nobody will be able to come back and say that the non-con was weak. And that's going to be really important when you start talking about net rankings and all this stuff, man, come to the end of the season, if Auburn is somehow on the bubble of making it into the tournament. Now we know how much this matters, right? And you heard Bruce Pearl repeatedly refer to the net rankings even after losses. Yeah, we got L's, but look at the net. Look at the net. Look at the net. You know, we're playing people. Like, we have a tough schedule. So it's important, to make sure. Now, some of these games get scheduled in advance, and sometimes you don't know how good your non-con is going to be when that year actually comes. Right. So you schedule games in hopes that the program is not floundering by the time you get to the game. And it just so happens, man, that they're in a good position. The Bronny James game is going to have some hype around it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we sell out in Neville anyway. That game is going to sell out so fast.
Oh, man, it's going to be amazing. And if they put that whoop to them, it's going to be even better. So wins all around, NIL deals flying everywhere. Listen, Auburn basketball is a hot ticket now. And we've talked repeatedly about how we could pick up basketball tickets on the ground outside the stadium when we were in school. Now it's tough, man. I took my mom to her first basketball game, Auburn basketball game last year, and I was just explaining to her, like, "Mom, this is a hard ticket to get. If we weren't the War Report, we'd be watching this at a pub somewhere." I mean, it was hard. It was hard. I had to call in connects to get tickets to the game. So it's going to be exciting. What Bruce Pearl has built with Auburn basketball has been what is the main attraction during the spring. And with all the additions to Auburn basketball, it should be even more exciting to watch. They've rebuilt this roster. They've gone out. They've gotten shooters, right? They've brought in exciting freshmen. And let's see what they do with it this year, man. I'm excited to see what Coach Pearl has up his sleeve for Auburn basketball. And this non-con is a great way to test what you have, I think.
Right. B. Will, you just jumped on. We're talking about the schedule, non-conference opponents. What do you make of it?
It's kind of, I want to say, typical for Bruce. The ACC, SEC challenge is a new thing. Mm-hmm. But Bruce has never been scared of.
Your mic went out for some reason. It was randomly.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, while B sorts that out, we can go ahead and talk about the regular season or SEC conference play. We talked about non-conference play.
Right.
What kind of stands out with you about the conference play this year? What are some things that comes to mind for you when you look at this 2023-24 schedule? Probably should have put it up there for people to see it, but
yeah, we can try to see if we can get something together. But I mean, the big thing for me is who the home and home games are, right? So we're gonna have Ole Miss again playing home and home, Mississippi State.
that's
home
gonna
and
be
home.
interesting.
Florida on the road. Good God, can we beat Florida on the road finally? Like, I just like at some point in time, I need for Auburn basketball to take a trip to Florida. Say what?
That one dude graduated yet? What's his
Talking about
name?
Colin
I know you're
Castleton?
talking about that.
Yeah, Colin
Yeah.
Castleton's out of here. Get him out of here.
He's fitting.
They gave him a degree for his 29th birthday.
All right,
Yeah,
good deal.
get him out of here. But yes, can we freaking beat Florida on the road in basketball, man? Listen, Todd Golden, Bruce Pearl disciple, as it were, going to have that team ready to compete. Listen, they played well when they came and played us last year here in his first season, and he didn't have really very much talent on that team. Let's be clear. They're going to have talent on this squad. They're going to have a little bit more continuity. That's going to be a tough road game to go to Florida and win again.
Right.
So hopefully we can get down there in Gainesville and get a W in basketball for the first time since like 90 something. I don't even know. I'm not looking at it right now, but it's ridiculous. Yeah, dude. So that's all I'm saying.
It's been a while.
Yeesh.
It's been a while.
As far as Kentucky's coming to town, right? So we get Kentucky back in Neville Arena again this year. And listen, I'm doing this all off the top of my head. If I say something that's incorrect, you guys will definitely correct me in the chat. I don't really expect much from LSU this season, so I'm not too worried about that game. South Carolina doesn't scare me. Gigi Jackson was the best player on that team last year. He's already gone. He was a one and done kid for that squad. Goodness, let me think who else. What other games are interesting to me besides Tennessee? We got to go back and play Tennessee at Tennessee again. I don't know if I want to go to that weird space again. Great arena, very weird crowd. So not sure if I want to make the trip to Knoxville again. We don't get them at home this year.
Mississippi State.
Arkansas on the road. We owe them.
We owe them, but do we have the cash to pay them?
So we have Tennessee. So we go. So do we have the?
What are you saying? What are these words you're saying? Do we have the cash to pay them?
Absolutely. All right.
You don't think Auburn's going to be good in basketball this year?
Are we going to be good? Yes, but they could be good too. I don't know.
I don't care how good they are.
Oh, okay. We had that part. I got you. Okay.
Off.
Yes. Undefeated.
I ain't say it was going undefeated. I just said
rough. Our road. Okay, it's pretty rough though because we're playing.
And Texas A&M being the other team that apparently we haven't beat in the last 3 tries.
Yeah.
Gotta figure out how to get that dub against freaking.
We're not playing them on the road though. They could actually come into Neville.
That one I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't think we play them. I'm looking at it right here. So we're playing Alabama.
Only played them once. I know that.
Yes, but it's at home. That's a home game. So here are the home games. The home games are Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, South Carolina, A&M, and Vanderbilt.
Vandy, that's the other team we play the home and home against. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to go back to that freaking arena again, too. Vandy has the worst freaking basketball arena in. Well, you know what? I take that back. They have the worst arena. When I went and looked at the FIU court, FIU definitely has an uglier court because I was watching, if you guys haven't seen it already, if you're not a member or not a patron, you can't go see this. But I did a film breakdown on our guy, Denver Jones, and I saw Florida International's court, of course, watching this game. It's the ugliest basketball court I have literally ever laid eyes on. And that's saying something because Vanderbilt's hockey arena that they have that they're playing basketball in, it freaking looks like the rec center at Auburn, like they're supposed to have like.
You were sitting with the camera people.
No, it was terrible, bro.
Yeah,
it was
awful.
Absolutely awful. I hate Vanderbilt's arena. I hate the fact that they're broken into freaking quadrants. So if you go up in the wrong area, you got to come all the way back down and then go back around and go back. It's stupid. I hated it so much, so freaking much. I'm not exaggerating the hatred that I have for this arena. Like this feels like a lot. If you've never been, then you don't understand. It is terrible. And that's saying something because Bama has a stupid arena with their dumb random corner that they have over there with their student section. Vandy's is worse.
Yeah.
It's worse.
So with that said, you're going back?
To Vandy, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Like
You got to think about it.
It's in driving distance, so it feels like I should just do that because I'm covering the team. But good God, that means I have to enter that arena again.
Covering the arena, covering the game from outside of the arena. Ike Jones.
I'm just gonna drive up there and go to a sports bar in downtown Nashville, and then I'm gonna cover the game.
That might work.
That way.
That might work.
And then I'm go over to the arena and go to the press thing afterwards. How about that? I'll just get the press credential and walk in after the game is over with or something. I don't know.
So as far as road teams, we play Alabama, of course, Georgia. Now that we need some get back on.
Oh, we got to get back against
Georgia. That's a get back game right there.
Yeah. I mean, we gave them some get back last year, but I just listen.
Yeah.
We got to get them at Georgia though.
There you go.
We got to get them at Georgia.
Ole Miss, Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi State is that's going to be a tough road game.
Well, it should be noted, right, that of these games, right?
Are they going to hit a 3-pointer this year?
Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, and Florida, there's no trade-off, right? Like those are road games where we don't play them at home.
Right.
So you go there and you got one shot at those games and they're on the road.
Yeah.
So
one shot, cannot miss your chance to blow.
Yeah, right. Like, so Florida, you highlighted Florida as one of those teams that's like, can we win a road game? But now you come into the jungle. So like, same with Missouri. Man, listen, the SEC has gotten tough in basketball, man. Like this is
like Mississippi State, man. They're sneaky, right? They're gonna be a tough team as far as like the physicality that they're gonna play with. But unless they figured out how to shoot, I don't think that they can beat us in basketball right now. Like you have to be able the way that Bruce Pearl. Now, this is the one thing I am worried about. To the point that you made earlier, B. Will, about do we have the cash to be able to pay Arkansas back? Is whether or not we are going to be bought in completely on the defensive end by the time SEC play comes around. I'm hoping that they figured out what the defensive rotations are, all that sort of thing. Right. But defense is a thing I am worried about with this team, just because I don't know that we have guards that are locked down on the outside, and we don't have Walker Kessler patrolling the paint, right? So you have to have one or the other, right? Like nobody's ever going to confuse Wendell Green Jr. for a lockdown guard. Nobody's ever going to say KD Johnson was a lockdown guard. Right. Now, Zep Jasper, different conversation, right? But when you think back to the team that had Walker Kessler, none of them had to be locked down because all they had to do was challenge out front and funnel to a freaking wall back there that wasn't allowing easy paint touches, right? We don't have that anymore. So the question that I'm going to have for this team, and we've talked about this before, is whether or not guys like Aiden Holloway, who I've watched a few of his games in high school and the McDonald's All-American game, wasn't super impressed with his perimeter defense. Guys like Denver Jones, who has more height than the guys that we had last year, but didn't see a lockdown commitment to defense. He can defend, but is he going to be bought into playing that level of defense that Bruce Pearl wants to on the perimeter on a consistent basis? You still have KD Johnson on that team, right? So is he going to be better as a perimeter defender? Who are going to be the guys that when these guards are out here, because that was the big issue last year. If you had a dynamic guard, he was going to eat our lunch because we didn't have anybody that was just like, all right, enough of this. And just, all right, cool. We're going to put this guy on that guy. Now somebody else is going to have to go get you a bucket from the outside. Who's going to be that guy on this team if Janai Broome doesn't turn into some sort of shot blocking machine? And we didn't get another guy out there. Dylan Cartwell hasn't proven to be that guy. Yeah. Chaney Johnson's not really a shot blocking guy like that. Chad Baker Mazar is not. So, even the what is his name? Darren Scott. Not really a shot blocker like that. So I don't know. Right. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you expect to see out of Auburn? Obviously, you want to win every non-conference game going into the conference schedule with some momentum. What are you hoping to see by the time Auburn makes its debut in the SEC?
You're asking me specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, so what I hope to see is we figured out what our rotations are going to be. Right, because that's going to be a big part of this, of figuring out who plays best on the floor together. Like, who are you going to be your nuclear units of? All right, we need to go get some offense. This is our offensive unit. They can go out there and just get buckets, right? we need to be able to go get stops. These are the guys that Coach Pearl has identified we can go get stops. He talked about this a lot last year. At the end of the game, it's getting to the free throw line, hitting your free throws, and getting stops, right? Timely buckets matter, but if you can get to the free throw line and you can shoot fairly well from the free throw line, that's one thing I don't really have a huge issue with this team with. Aiden Holloway can shoot free throws. Denver Jones can shoot free throws. Chad Baker Massar, I can go on and on. The only people who I'm worried about from the free throw line, unfortunately, because he's a high usage guy, is going to be Janai Broome, right? And Dylan Cartwell, who's not going to get a lot of touches. So I'm not super worried there. But outside of that, literally everybody else on this team can shoot free throws fairly well. KD Johnson figured it out closer to the end of the year last year to get back into his upper 70s, low 80s percentage from the free throw line. Trey Donaldson is maybe a little suspect from the free throw line. He hasn't had enough attempts for me to have a solid, idea of what he's going to do. And he definitely hasn't taken any free throw attempts in the clutch. So that's a completely different piece of free throw shooting.
Right. He's usually off the court by then.
Right. So the question we're gonna see is, who are the lineups that Bruce Pearl trusts? Specifically, who are the ones that he trusts to close games? Right? Like the starting lineup is going to be important, but who is he trusting to be on the court to close games, to get stops, and be able to get to the free throw line and make it? That's what we're going to hope to be able to see by the time we get to SEC play. Have we figured that out, or are we still tinkering with lineups? Hopefully injury isn't a reason for that, but are we still tinkering with lineups, trying to figure out, rotations and how many minutes we can get for everybody? Because we got a lot of guys that can play significant minutes, but what are the rotations going to look like to keep us looking well-oiled?
Do you think they're going to feature Janai Broome this year?
Oh, for sure. He did not come back from potentially going to get a pro contract, whether you believe he was going to get drafted or he was going to be a two-way guy. I'll say this again. I stressed this when this whole Janai Broome thing started. It wasn't NBA or bust for him. It was, do I come back to college or go pro, right? Like going pro could have been overseas. It could have been two-way contract. There's a lot of options that were short of being drafted to an NBA franchise that would have suited Janai Broome and he could have taken advantage of in this offseason. So he absolutely is going to want to be in a situation where they figured out how to make post-entry passes from the guard position, because we sucked at that last year. We absolutely sucked at it. I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why we don't know how to bounce pass into the daggone post when the man has got him on his back. But they need to figure.
I was waiting for it.
They need to figure out how to do that with this young man, because he's a guy that he needs to be able to do that. That's how he gets engaged in the games where you saw Janai Broome disappear. It's because he wasn't getting touches early. And he was open, and so he just kind of.
You can see the frustration on his face. Yeah,
he disengages from games when he doesn't feel like he's getting the opportunities that are open for him. Not forcing him the ball, but man, I'm open down here. Why aren't you just getting me the ball and let me go to work?
For sure.
Because who proved that they could stop Janai Broome when he was getting his work in?
That's true. But some of that is we had the hands in the ball of Wendell, and for whatever the troubles may have been with Wendell and his size or defense or his shot making as the season wore on, Bruce lets guys operate. He lets them operate. He's like, okay, you're going to be out there. You're running the show at point. Make a good decision. So sometimes Wendell was like, man, I don't know. They're on the run. Let me stop it with this 30-foot three. Like, hey, Wendell, you know what? That wasn't the right decision. You missed it. Now they're taking it the other way. Now we're in a bigger hole. And we found ourselves in that situation a lot last year. Trey Donaldson doesn't appear to have that same level of I'm going to stop it all by myself, but he hasn't been given the opportunity. He hasn't been given the keys like Wendell had been given the keys. But I don't know, he seems to have when he was in the game, he operated much tighter. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It seems like he was determined to make the decisions that he knew Bruce would want him to make. And I think he did a really good job of that. So I think it comes down more to, yes, Janai is going to get more looks, more touches, because again, like you said, he didn't come back just to be down there waving his hand and posting up for nothing. But also, if the ball's going to be in Trey's hands as your primary point, I don't know what role Aiden and Trey are going to play. Like, that's going to be probably the most interesting part of this upcoming season to me. Who's running the point?
3 guard lineups.
I'm not against it. I'm not against it. But I think Trey does the distributing and the defending that Wendell
Hey, listen,
could not do.
If he
consistently, Wendell could have 12 assists a game if he committed to it. I don't know why. All of a sudden he decided, you know what?
I gotta do it.
Well, I mean, I do know why, right? Like, I don't want to bag on him. I think a lot of the problem was that the offense just wasn't moving fluidly. And so we would get late in the clock. And the default for that offense late in the clock was either ISO or high pick and roll. Right. And so he is the primary guy who could operate in that situation. We talked about this before. There weren't a lot of guys you could just give the ball to and say, go get a bucket, because they didn't have the handle to do that. You couldn't trust Jay Will to do that. Janai Broome is not a guy who's really going to do that unless you can get him the ball early enough in the post. Flanagan was very inconsistent. He was a guy who could do it, but very inconsistent until late in the season. Right. You didn't get KD Johnson, who can definitely do that, doing that until again late in the season. Right. Chris Moore's not that guy. Like, nobody but Wendell could you say, give him the ball, get out of my way, let me figure out how to generate a shot. Whether it was a good shot or not, not really up for debate. The question is, if it wasn't him, who was it going to be?
Right. And we did talk about that a lot throughout the season, especially when there was frustration about Wendell's game when he was not hitting those shots. Let's go ahead before we get to the break. I want to grab some of you guys' comments. We appreciate you guys being with us. Money Mon says, War Eagle, my last show before deployment. Money Mon,
man, be safe out there, bro.
What branch of service are we talking about here? Money?
Let us know. But our prayers are definitely for you that it's a successful trip and you come home safely.
Yeah,
sir.
come home alive.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service, man.
Thank you. John Brannon, Bruce definitely isn't scared. He wants us to play the best teams out there. Love it. I agree. Juice Heist says we need to embarrass Bronny.
Agreed.
Hey, I think we just need to
embarrass everybody stepping that arena.
Yeah, we need to beat them. If
that
we
is going
them,
to be
that's icing on the cake. I want some.
I'd be shocked if that isn't primetime ESPN game.
Oh, for sure.
Every game that Bron's going to be on.
It's going to follow him. The circus is going to follow him wherever he goes.
For sure.
Is he going to get the Suni Lee treatment?
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
I'm just saying, as far
Suni's an icon.
She is iconic. Here's what I'm saying though: the ESPN hype train around anybody with the last name James is ridiculous, and so and gymnastics will never get that level of coverage. Right. So I think
it's going to be
like that follows the ESPN environment.
Suni greater than Bronny.
You're not getting an argument from me about which one is the more iconic athlete. I'm talking about circuses. Right. Yeah. And the James family
got the juice. They got the juice, bro.
They've been the conductors of the circus
because it's not just him now. It's the other players that decide to sign with him. Some of which
that USC team is going to be good. Like, let's be clear. That's going to be a.
It might take them a minute to figure it out, though. Hopefully, we'll steal it.
I mean, it's going to take us a minute to figure it out.
I ain't got no Cam juice. I ain't worried about them.
AU alum 94. It says KD already talking about what a player Chaney Johnson is.
Hey, listen, I got that Chaney film ready for y'all if y'all want to dive into this thing.
Listen, Brandy Mack on Mike Mack and Meme said that she felt like Chaney Johnson would be the most impactful of the additions that they've made this offseason. So
I thought that was a wild
hot take.
That's pretty interesting.
I thought it might be Denver Jones, but
I think it's going to be Denver Jones as well. But
Brandy said Chaney Johnson.
Chaney Johnson's good, right? Like, I think he's the guy that probably is going to surprise the most people with how like skilled he is, but he's going to be playing a different position than he's played in the last 2 or 3 years in college. And we can talk about that when we get into the film. So it's going to take him an adjustment from just where he's going to be lining up standpoint, even though his first year at JUCO or community, whatever it was, the community college, he was playing more of a guard, but then he grew like 4 or 5 inches from like 6'2", 6'3" to 6'7". And so they started putting him in the post. And that's when he went to the post. That's when he had his best seasons over there. And he was playing like a 4/5 for them. So it's going to be a different role in this new 6'7", 6'8" body that or whatever height he is right now. So he's going to have to figure out how to be a wing guy again against guys who are athletic at the wing and not playing against, some 4-man that's flying out to him and he's more athletic than him. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. He's got the skills. He definitely has the tenacity. So we'll see how that goes.
Jordan Martin echoes similar sentiments. KD and Jalen both talking up Chaney Johnson, the most athletic on the team, according to Jalen.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, like Brady might be onto something here.
She might be. Big Gap says, can we please utilize the mid-range game? Ike, what are you seeing out of some of these new additions? You've been watching some film.
Every last one of them has a midi. Every last one of them.
Nice.
Chad Baker-Mazar's got midi. Chaney Johnson's got midi. Denver Jones got midi, right? Like they can all come in and make those shots. Trey Donaldson has it, and he showed it a little bit last year. His willingness to pull up into the mid-range. We already know what Jay Will and Janai can do from that area. KD doesn't shoot it a lot, but he has it in his bag, right? There isn't a guy on this team, Sons, Darren Scott, that's going to be on this team next year, and Cardwell, that can't hit from the mid-range. You're probably not going to see Chris Moore shoot a lot of mid-range stuff, because that's just not part of what he does. But I mean, out of the guys on this team, Lior Berman can shoot the mid-range. Everybody on this team can do that. B. Will, that's your guy. I know, Lior Berman. You know,
scholarshiped Lior Berman.
Yeah, I don't know that we've given him the proper congratulations.
Talk nicely about my man's.
You know, Lior in here now with the Scully. You know what I'm talking about? Lior Jordan.
Prefix is scholarship.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Man, when I saw Lior Berman windmill a dunk during warm-ups at Bama, I was like, bro, you are something. What are we doing here, son?
I talked to Lior on the Victory podcast. I had Lior on the last one, and we talked about that dunk being like the highlight of his whole existence, right? And he promised us more dunks this year.
But he got hops, bro. I was like, bro, why are you windmilling the joint during the daggone layup line? And go to the hole and put somebody.
I want to see him put it on the floor, man.
A Lior poster. If Lior puts somebody, if Lior, bro, he can jump though. If Lior puts somebody in the body bag next year, dog, they might have to kick me out of the daggone press box. I'm sorry.
Unprofessional.
They might kick me out of the press box.
You gotta get out of here.
If he puts somebody in the body bag next year, dog, I'm sorry.
Do not dunk. We need our credentials.
You're right.
Don't do it, Lior.
Don't set us back. Don't set us back. Right.
Yeah. I know we got this as like material proof in court. See, he played it.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, real quick before we go to the break. I look at what the Miami Heat just did, right? They were in the finals. They ran through what would be considered more talented teams, but there's this Heat culture, right? You play defense. You're going to commit to staying in shape to a certain extent, and that actually works. Now, Jimmy Butler's a huge reason for that, because he actually plays outside of himself and past his regular season numbers for a good chunk of the postseason. He just turns it up a notch. But everybody, I've seen the jokes about this team because we got somebody from UNA, North Alabama. We got somebody from JUCO, and I'm like, I don't know what y'all know about basketball. Like, if we were talking football, yeah, I'd tell you that the 6'3", 260-pound tackle should be playing in the lower league, but this is not that. If a guy is tall enough, it's about skills. Like, after your height, your obvious measurables, it's about skills and intensity and effort. Bruce Pearl's teams do not lack intensity and effort. We know we've got the skill of shooting. Intensity and effort. I don't think one player, even though we question how good they're going to be defensively individually or how good they have been to this point, I don't think Bruce is going to let these guys get on the court unless they have committed themselves to a certain level of intensity and effort on the defensive end. I would not be surprised to see us again, I think we said this before, top 3 or 4 in the conference for this team, even though people just think it's a ragtag bunch. Top 3 or 4 in the conference.
We will definitely see about that. Good conversation, guys. Let's get to the break. Before we do, share this video, guys. Social media, use the hashtag, even add us so that we can see you. Smash that like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Jazzy, we see your comment. We'll get to it after the break, but let's pay some bills and acknowledge our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Harmon Mechanical. a heating and air company offering premier service to the Auburn area and surrounding areas. Give them a call at 334-219-0717 or head over to their website at harmonmechanical.com. Let them know the War Report sent you. Harmon Mechanical. We're there when you need air. And our giveaway sponsor, War Eagle Oil. For all of your motor oil and related products, head over to wareagleoil.com. As always, thank you to the sponsors of the War Report. You can give a little something to the pot by becoming a member. Green Name Gang, shout out to you all out there in the live chat. $5.99 per month gets you to the place where you are a god amongst men. If we're just going to be clear, you know, you're a god amongst men. If you're a patron of the War Report,
Okay.
people will throw rose petals at your feet as you're walking down the street. You know, if you're a guy, then, you know, hot chicks just kind of randomly walk up to you and pledge allegiance to you. If you're a woman,
Pledge allegiance.
yeah, they're just
Wow.
they're like, what can I do for you? That's basically what they're going to be.
And that how it should be anyway.
Listen,
What are we talking
So
about?
listen.
What is going on?
I don't know. I took it off the rails. That's my fault. That's my fault. We do film review. Become a member so you can get in on those film reviews.
Teresa got a whole other podcast on just that.
If you are a member, you can
That's a
gift
good point.
memberships
Oh, that's
like
cool.
Jazzy Joe, Big Gap, and Daniel Moultrie have done. We appreciate you guys gifting memberships during the process of this show. Thank you to everybody who's continuing to do that. The first month of somebody's membership is going to be on those. A total of 35 memberships being gifted so far during this live stream. So thank you for everybody who's doing that. Hashtag get your weight up right now in the live chat if you want to be able to win a War Report t-shirt. We'll do that drawing here right around the 1 hour mark. So we thank you to everybody who is already doing that in the live chat. And you have to be present to win. So don't just do that and go away. Charvis, I see you getting in on the action gift and memberships. Thank you so much for that as well. Once again, shout out to Harmon Mechanical, harmonmechanical.com. Harmon Mechanical is there when you need air. If you're in the Auburn area and you want to get out of the heat in your own space and make sure it's not going to be broken down, make sure you hit them up, 334-219-0717. And yeah, that's it for right now. We got some big news coming up in just a second, but let's get to this challenge, bro.
Yeah, welcome to another Jazzy Challenge.
Tennessee. He's in Tennessee.
And it's four of us, so we have a chance.
Let's do it.
We got a chance. We got a better odds here.
He's in Tennessee.
Tennessee.
$100. You said Tennessee, 50 for the state that borders. All right. Martin, thank you for the gifted memberships, man. You guys are stepping up to the plate.
Thank y'all
man.
so much.
I'm gonna say Jazzy is in Oklahoma.
Pennsylvania for me.
Okay. I'm playing borders here. I'm going to say Illinois.
All right. Be somewhere out in the west, and we just completely.
You sunk my battleship.
I think I was thinking B was gonna pick somewhere out west just so we can cover our ground there. So
Now I feel bad. I wanted to get the Midwest though. We didn't really touch up there.
that's okay.
All good. Money Man says he is in the Navy. So what's up, man? My guy, our guy, Keontez. If you've seen him, Tez in the comments, he's also a Navy guy. So shout out to the naval services out there doing their thing, man. Thank you very much for your service, bro.
Ike, you said something about some announcement?
Oh yeah, for sure. Listen, man, we are very excited, man. At the War Report, we have been growing over the last year, really, in very exponential ways, and we're excited to announce, man, we are launching a new. You know what? Let's just do it like this. I want to be dramatic. This is what's going down.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
That is right, good people. The War Report is now a podcast network, and we are bringing on a couple of new podcasts, including the College Loop and the Up Tempo podcast. And joining us right now from those podcasts are a couple of the people on there. Say hello to the new War Report family, man.
Hey, there's a lot of folks on Twitter. We look like the Brady Bunch in this moment.
Yeah, I know, right? Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, but so this is the podcast network, man. If you guys have not checked out their channels, they are going to be broadcasting from the War Rapport podcast network now. They've got YouTube channels as well. Guys, go right now and subscribe to the College Loop and to the Uptempo podcast. They are part of the War Rapport family officially, baby. We've made it official, man. But anyway, welcome to all the guys, man.
Welcome.
Tar, Blake, Dylan, Dustin, what's up?
Yes,
man?
sir. What's up, boys?
What's up, fellas?
Not pictured and not in here is Daniel from the College Loop. But yeah, man, you guys feeling all right tonight?
Oh yeah, man.
Feeling real good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're fired up, brother.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely welcome, guys. Guys, again, Ike said it. Please go subscribe, follow on Twitter, so you guys can keep up with what these guys are doing. And then, obviously, listen to the podcast, man. So we'll be cross-pollinating content here as we continue to build. But as we get into the Olympic sports, man, these guys, Dustin, Blake, Dylan, these guys are going to be covering baseball, and they can talk baseball way better than we can talk baseball. So I'm excited about their coverage there into some of the Olympic sports. So Auburn is an everything school. And to be an everything school, we got to have a lot of people to cover it. And so I'm excited to the value these guys are going to bring, not only to us, but to you guys as the listeners, in terms of getting content on other sports. So welcome, guys. We're looking forward to a long, prosperous, live long and prosper.
Heck
So
yeah.
let's start here with Tar,
there you go.
man. Tar, just
Thank you,
introduce yourself to the people. Tell them where they can follow you on Twitter, man.
Yeah, guys. First off, thanks for reaching out to us. We're so pumped. This has been something that we've been having to really sit on our hands and not brag to the world about. We're really excited to be here and be part of the family over here at the War Report. I'm Harrison Tar at Harrison Tar on Twitter. I'm an Auburn alumnus, class of 22, and one of the hosts of the College Loop podcast. So we talk about everything under the sun if it pertains to Auburn athletics. We just introduced a new segment about The Bachelor, since there's a lot of Auburn ties in The Bachelor. I'm a Bachelorette. Sorry, it's hard for me to admit that I'm watching this.
No judgment at all.
I'll let him round himself out in a second. But yeah, you can follow along with me over on my socials at Harrison Tar for pretty much everything you want to find. And I've seen some familiar faces in the chat, so really excited to be doing crosswork with you guys. This is a blessing, really. It's a godsend. So we're really excited.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna keep it in the College Loop and kick it over to Dylan. What's up, man?
Nothing much. I'm looking over the comment section. I'm going to shout out James Barnett for asking what's up, and Hot Dog Water for his little comment towards us. That was real cool. But yeah, I'm Dylan Lark. I'm the other host of the College Loop. I'm actually the one who came up with the idea for the College Eloped segment, which we're going to be doing every Tuesday, following Caleb Kim's hopefulness of getting Charity's heart. But yeah, if you want to follow me at your boy the Tanks, at YABOI the Tank, and I mean we like to have a little bit of fun in the College Loop, so go ahead and subscribe to us. It's the College Loop. We got a little shirt going on.
Yep. Awesome. All right, Blake, what's up, man?
What's up, Ike? I'm Blake Lane. I'm in Mobile, Alabama. Started the Uptempo podcast back in 2021, right before the Houston Bowl game and everything, and brought my boy Dustin on. We started hammering Auburn baseball. We really got after it this year. Watched all 62 games, listened on the radio, broke down with extensive coverage, and just hammered the content. And we break it down, everything on the Uptempo podcast: football, basketball, talk a little softball here and there, anything. And I know we've had Ike and Mike both on, so we'll be bringing on a guy from UMass, a beat writer up there, to break down that opening Hugh Freeze matchup. I know that's exciting. So if you could just follow me at the Uptempo Pod on Twitter and go subscribe to the channel.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. And
Nice.
Dustin, last but not least, my guy. What's up?
The man, the myth, the legend.
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, first off, man, shout out to Mike G, bro. Let me turn my mic down a little bit. But shout out to Mike G, because about a year ago, bro, before I even started this, man, you were showing me love. I was just kind of doing some call-in shows, little freelance podcasting here and there. Mike G was one of the first guys to reach out to me and say, hey, man, you got this. And that really meant the world to me. And then me and Blake hooked up, dude. And like Blake said, we really just pounded the baseball. We love Auburn baseball. I grew up in Plainsman, bro. That was my first Auburn experience. This was in that dugout, that 98 team. Heath Kelly was the starting second baseman on that team, placement shortstop too. And he knew my father really well, and his dad and my dad were good friends. So from early age, man, just grew up in that. I came home from the hospital in an Auburn onesie, and I'm sure Blake's got a little boy on the way, a little Levi on the way. He'll be doing the same thing, man.
Nice.
So just grew up in an Auburn house, man. Kind of split family between our parents, separated early, Bruton, Alabama, Pensacola, Florida, where I'm at right now. Really fired up to be with you guys, man. Like Blake said, we're going to hammer home that baseball. Last year on football, man, we were just getting started. We were literally recording over our cell phones, like just talking on our cell phones, posting audio. Yeah, so
we used to do that too.
Hey, so to be here with you guys now, man, like Harrison said, and we recorded an episode with Harrison too when that week when everything kind of popped off with softball and all that. So that's our boy right there. Fired up to be working with him as well, man. So like Harrison said, just a real blessing, man. And like I told Ike, when I talked to Ike the other day on the phone, and Ike was just so excited, and it was this vibe, but like, let's take this whole game over, man. And I ride with that. Like, let's do it. I'm ready to get it, boys.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, again, man, we're excited to have you guys on again. Make sure you guys go subscribe to their podcasts. If you go to our channel right now and you go to the other channels section, they are linked there already. So it made it really easy for you guys to be able to follow them over there. And yeah, man, that's it. Listen, you guys can stay on if you want to. We're going to keep talking here about some college football stuff with but you know, you're welcome to stay. You can dip out, whatever you want to do. It's up to you guys, but let's get to it. And I see we got Jazzy Challenge and all that stuff popping up. So.
Get your behind back up here, man. Stop playing. All right. Another Jazzy just been chatting up a storm. Jazzy says Connecticut.
That's why I left right there. No luck. No bad luck.
Then for the people in the back, he said it again. Connecticut again. Appreciate that, Jazzy. And 100 balls. Shout out to my Mobile brother.
Yeah, Jazzy's from Mobile, in case you guys didn't know.
251.
Let's go. 251, baby.
Yeah. Nice. There's some of them 251 recruits in here.
They're down here.
Yeah, we need them. Yeah, we need them.
For sure.
Shout out to Wesley Hilson for gifting the memberships, though. Yeah.
Thanks to y'all for doing that for sure. Off script says, dang, they got War Eagle oil. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's not so it's oil for like when you're doing the oil change. It's not like gasoline oil, so it's not like Texas oil money, but you know what I'm saying.
Close enough. Hot Dog Water says College Loop. And that's what you guys was referencing earlier. John Brandon says Charity lives in Columbus. I might introduce Mike G to her if he's lucky.
I got this thing twisted, man. She the lucky one, right?
Who does John?
No, Mike G's
no,
lucky.
bro. Like every time somebody gets brought up, John Brandon's like, oh yeah, I know him. They live in
Columbus. Everybody lives in Columbus.
It's right outside of the situation over there in Columbus. That's my cousin. Them like, man, you know everybody, bro. What are we doing?
That was a nice, like, little, impersonation of what John.
I've never even heard John Brandon speak.
Now I'm disappointed if you don't sound like that, John. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk football.
Yeah,
it's been football news constant, but we got a bit of a. You guys see it. I mean, you see what we're talking about. Can Auburn football average over 200 yards per game on the ground again? Now, quick trivia question for you guys. Auburn has rushed. No cheating. Don't do your Googles. All right. Stay off of the Google. Stay here with me. Auburn has rushed for over 200 yards per game 5 times within the past decade. Can anyone name the years without cheating when Auburn did that? Need some jerky music.
Plus 200 yards since 2013.
2013 is the season that we started that. Yeah. So
yeah.
Wesley Hilson probably has that hanging up on his refrigerator somewhere.
In one of his stickies.
Yeah.
One of his sticky notes there.
Yeah, it's such an interesting question because in the better years, we know that number has been nuts. Right? Yes. If you think about the 2010s and those years where Auburn has generally had a lot of success, 200 plus yards on the ground, or if you think about in the SEC, teams that have had success have been, well north of that number, quite a bit. So, it's been, Auburn doesn't do well. Look at Daniel Moultrie says 2017, 2013. He went all the way back to 2005.
He went back too far.
Yeah, hold on.
We're gonna put the new guys on the spot here. And B. Will actually wasn't in here earlier when we looked this up. So I'm gonna start with B. Will. and you guys don't cheat over there. I see some of you guys looking down at your phones. I hope you're not cheating. B Will gets the first guess. Give me a year in which we went over 200 yards. B Will, what you got? Name one of the years you think.
Without looking at the comments.
2013, obviously.
Okay, 2013. He took an easy one. I was hoping he'd do that. So when the new guys has to pick one of the more difficult.
Yeah, Blake.
Blake, give me a year.
Had to be 2017.
2017.
Yes,
we're 2 for 2 so far. Dylan, what you got?
Dylan.
There's an easy year. I could just easily take the first year of Bo Nix, but I'm not. I'm gonna try to spice it up a little bit. I'm gonna say 2015 as like a sneaky year.
Ooh,
Close, but you missed it. Tar, what you got, man?
Shout out, Dylan. 2019. Thank you.
2019?
No.
2019?
Wrong.
No.
Yes.
Yikes, right?
Dustin, can you get us over the hump here and get us at least 3 for 5 here?
How far back do we go? Can I get a hint?
2013 is the
2013 is the final. Okay.
Yeah. And we've already taken 2013. We've already gotten 2017.
It feels like Family Feud. If you get it wrong, the people in the chat can steal.
Guess 2019. So you've got a.
It's got to be 16 when Petway got hot, right?
2016 is correct.
Yeah.
The other 2 years, C-Dub hit him with it.
2014.
That's right.
2022 last year.
Wesley
got it right in the comments.
That was a layup. Come on.
Because of the last few games. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So for reference, what those numbers look like in 2013, it was 328 yards a game. Obviously, they went all the way to the national title that year. 2014, it was actually 255 yards on the ground. 2015, they didn't do it. 2016 was 271 yards a game on the ground. And then fast forward to 2017, which was 218 yards a game on the ground. And then last year, Auburn averaged 205 yards per game on the ground.
Just snuck over.
To be clear, we were close in a couple other years.
Yes.
Like 2010
it could have easily been more. Like 1 year was like 199, right?
Yeah. 2010, 2020, where it was the we only had the 10 regular season games. They and it was all SEC games. We're like just shy of that by like a half a yard average per game. And then there was another one where it's like in the 190s that we were pretty close to on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you need to be north of 255 if you're going to compete for the SEC West, right? Like, that's a magic number there. And, in this coming season, the question being, can Auburn average over 200 yards per game on the ground in 2023? This team may be sneaky good on the ground. Our guy, Cole Kublik, has been really high on Auburn's offensive line and the potential that position group holds with Dylan Wade, and Avery Jones and those guys that actually made Ike write the Athlon, like transfer,
SEC all transfer list,
right? Yeah. So can the offensive line think about the offensive line in those years, right? And what those lines were like. It's going to be interesting to me to see Jarquez Hunter, Brian Battie, Damari Alston, right? Hugh Freeze said that they underestimated Damari and how good he would be. He was kind of overlooked. And then after the spring, they were like, hey, man, we got a player here. So with Jarquez potentially sitting out a couple of games to start the season, does that hurt their prospects of, averaging, you think?
No, because listen,
because of the competition,
right? Who we're starting the season with, and how deep that running back room is. Like, listen, man, Sean Jackson is a guy who's not going to get a lot of name recognition from of how good a running back he actually is. He can tote the rock, man.
Sure,
Sean Jackson can absolutely tote the rock, and players on our defense in practice note they don't like tackling him. You think somebody at Cal's going to want to line up against Sean Jackson on 3rd and 3? Absolutely, the F.
They said the same thing about Battie too, man. They said he's a low.
He's just
ridiculous to tackle.
Again, if you guys watch the film review I did on Battie, he is deceptively strong in the way that he runs between the tackles. Deceptively.
Question for one of our newest members of the War Report family network: does the quarterback position? Who wins the quarterback job? If it's Thorne, does that change the possibility? Because with Robbie Ashford, that gives you another weapon in the backfield that you have to be concerned about on the ground. If Peyton Thorne wins the job, are we less likely to achieve that feat?
He ran for 710 yards last season. Robbie did.
Yeah. I think that's 100% right. Because if Robbie wins the job, then the offense is going to look completely different. Hughes, I would hope anyway, Hughes not going to ask Robbie to do the drop backs and the pro style that he was asked to do last year. You're going to put him in a situation like Will Friend and Ike Hiller did at those last 4 games. We were able to run the ball so successfully at Tuscaloosa. Did we go for over 300 in
300.
Tuscaloosa?
Yes.
First team to do it. First team to do it on Saban.
With a makeshift staff just thrown together, a bunch of guys that at that point should have given up, but they were obviously playing for Caddy. I think that's a huge factor in it, because if it is going to be Peyton Thorne, then I think that Hugh wants to air it out. We talked to Mike G about a month ago, and one of Mike's points was, hey, listen, Hugh wants to Perry Thompson. Hugh wants Cam Coleman. He wants to get those guys. There's only really one way of doing that. The good recruiter that he is has got them in the boat. You've got to put it on the field to sway them, to get that final push, to get them to say, okay, I'm going to do it. And so I think Hugh wants to air the ball out. But, if something happens to Peyton Thorne and it has to be Robbie, then, I think you're going to see something a lot similar to that 2013 offense. I think he has potential to be a better passer than Nick Marshall does, was. But, for sure, he'll definitely – I think you would see 10 to 15 less pass attempts a game with Robbie at QB.
Yeah. Blake, you got thoughts on this, man? Like,
Mike, I'm right there with Dustin. I definitely think if Robbie is your quarterback, Auburn will run the football a whole hell of a lot more. I think with Peyton Thorne at QB, they're going to want to throw it out. And I'll be straight up with you. Ryan Williams down here in the class of 2025 in Mobile, he's not coming to Auburn unless they're throwing that baby around the yard. I can tell you that. And it's the same thing with Perry Thompson. I think Hugh is going to want to throw the football. Peyton Thorne dropping back, and like Dustin said, with guys to like Cam Coleman and all those big time playmakers, man. So I definitely think if Peyton Thorne wins the job, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to average, go over 200 yards a game.
He will. Thoughts?
I mean, what's left to say, man? We got to throw it. We have to throw it. It's advertising. It's advertising for 2 players in Ryan Williams and not Ryan Williams. Who's the guy from this club? Perry Thompson and Cam Coleman. If you want guys who want to catch the ball, then you got to throw the ball. Yeah. The only reason we wouldn't get over 200 with these running backs is because he is advertising the passing game, which I get. He did it before when he was at Ole Miss, but that was, I don't want to say it was an entirely different SEC, but it kind of was an entirely different SEC. Like that was 2014, 2015 when he had those wins over Bama. 2015, Bama was running Derrick Henry for like 500 yards a game like that, and they won the championship with that. That's the last time that's going to happen. It's a new day and age. There's way more competition in the SEC now. He has to prove a commitment to throwing it, and he has to succeed at it at least a little bit in order for the other recruits that we want to say, all right, I believe you now. I'll come sign on.
Hugh Freeze had DK Metcalf FaceTime Perry Thompson and said, trust me, bro, he's going to throw it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're going to throw the ball, but here's because there seems to be this consensus that we're going to be in danger of not hitting 200 yards per game if Peyton Thorne's the quarterback. I don't agree with that assessment. I think we're still going to get 200 yards on the ground. Can somebody, who is faster at Googling, tell me what Michigan State had on yards per carry with Kenneth Walker there 2 years ago with Peyton Thorne at the helm at quarterback in the Big Ten, again, who has quality defenses? Because somebody tell me what that's looking like. And I'm going to throw it to you, Tar, to get your thoughts on whether or not you feel like is it a foregone conclusion? I know a lot of this to me, it comes down to more of the offensive line, but I'll let you give your thoughts on what's going to happen with this run game.
In terms of the conversation surrounding, I guess, the differential between who wins the starting job at quarterback.
Yes.
I really don't want to beat a dead horse here. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of echo the sentiments of everyone before me. I don't have a ton to expand on. Your yards per game increase if you on the ground if you have Robbie Ashford just in.
I agree with that for sure. It's going to be more with Robbie.
I would not. In no way do I think that Auburn's in danger of not rushing for on average 200 a game if Peyton Thorne's at the helm. I don't. I think this offensive line is so much improved, and the stable running backs is one of the. I mean, it's kind of a tradition at this point.
That's probably the best that Hugh Freeze has ever had.
So,
it's one of the better ones in the recent history for Auburn.
Well, hold up. You asked about Michigan State. 2021 is the year you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
They averaged 176 yards on the ground that year.
And they only had one dynamic running back in that backfield, and that's Kenneth Walker.
That is true.
Kenneth Walker probably averaged like 160 of those himself.
He ran for 1,600 yards that season.
In 2020, Malik Willis's first year, they blew that 200-yard mark out the water. 250 yards on the ground they averaged that year.
And that's with the dual threat QB, right? Like, you understand you're going to get the productivity of 90 to 100 and something yards per game with a quarterback that can run. So
how much did
Robbie
Malik add
Ashford's
to
the
that
quarterback,
number,
we smashed 200 yards a game.
How much did Malik add to that number, though?
How many yards per game did he rush?
He almost ran. He was their leading rusher that year. He was about 656 yards shy of 1,000 yards.
Oh, wow. Okay. Right. Yeah. So again, in the vein of Robbie, like I said, Robbie, added 700 yards on the ground last year.
Yeah. No,
right?
no doubt in my mind, if Robbie Ashford is the quarterback, your yards per game, like if he's the quarterback, 200 yards should be a sneeze. Like they're going to get that without trying hard, because he's going to give you another 40 to 50 yards on a bad day per game. Right. And you're going to get from that stable of running backs another 150 on a bad day.
Can they win if they're below this number though? Like, I mean, how much more does the passing game have to, increase?
Well, to me, it's about balance, because I think what was so impressive about last year is everybody knew what we were doing when we lined up. Everyone knew we were running the ball, and yet we still managed to do that. Can you imagine if Hugh Freeze forces defense to actually respect a forward pass coming from Auburn? What that does for our running lanes?
That'd be new. Like 2017 is really the only year that I think teams lined up and said, "Oh, Auburn can throw the ball this year."
I was going to say, when was the last year a team actually worried about Auburn throwing the ball?
It's probably in the history of Auburn football, 2017 is probably the only, and that's not disrespect to any of the quarterbacks that played before then. It just wasn't the style of football that we were doing. Even under Gus Malzahn, he was trying to run the ball primarily. That's why those numbers looked so gaudy in his first few years. Even the Cam Newton years, as good as Cam Newton was, nobody was sitting back in 2010 saying, "Don't let him throw it."
That was Bama's game plan. That was Bama's game plan.
If you gave him enough opportunities. But that was not a thing where people were sitting back there saying, "Oh man, Cam is going to work."
Like they had the horses to almost do that, right? Yeah. So I mean, you can't really argue with it. I guess I just think kind of echoing what Dustin and Blake were talking about like hey, proof of concept and putting it on the field. You've got to be able to throw the ball, and you've got to be able to show kids that you can throw with a forward pass, right? Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson don't want to come to Auburn and block.
No, sorry, they don't.
Yeah, so these guys are dynamic talents, man, and you got to have a dynamic offense for them to play in. I mean, I get it. Like, listen, everybody hates hearing it, but Saban understood somewhere around the time that he hired Lane Kiffin that 3 yards in a cloud of dust football wasn't going to get it anymore. Right. And it was probably Gus that woke him up to it. Right. In 2013, like, man, we got to change something up, man. 2010, Cam. And then you had Nick Marshall going wild. And he was just like, well, listen, we got to do something. We got to catch up with offenses. And then all of a sudden, a championship team that had been using game manager quarterbacks in an excellent running game turned into QBU somehow. That's what they are. I mean, Bama's been putting out, great NFL quarterbacks.
That's what they were, Mike. That's what they were.
I mean, so all right. So I wouldn't. They've been putting out good college quarterbacks. I wouldn't go as far as to say they're good NFL.
These guys. I would just say these guys.
They made it to the league, so that's
they're starting in the league. They've got 4 starting quarterbacks in the National Football League.
How many of them are good though?
Hey, Nate Peterman started in the National Football League, man. Just give us some time. Let things work themselves out.
If we're trying to, if we're giving them Mac Jones, then get out of here, right? If
Jalen Hurts was like MVP of the league,
that'll be the one.
That's an Oklahoma product right there.
Is an Oklahoma quarterback. So I don't care about that.
We're
talking about Oklahoma plays every 5th game. We're talking about Mac Jones, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn for some reason when he's in New England, and we're talking about freaking who am I missing? Bryce Young, who hasn't started a single game yet, right? So we're talking about if we're gonna QBU is a little strong, is all I'm saying. It's a little strong.
Well, I'm just saying, like, listen, man, it's hard to get the shot, and they're getting the shot. So, at the end of the day, I think
Garrett Stidham started a football game last year for the Raiders. Just saying.
Hey, he killed it though.
He balled out.
Don't remind me. Okay, don't remind me. I watched every minute of that. And I was not happy.
It was awesome.
That's right.
It was such mixed emotions for me. I'm watching Jarrett Stidham destroy the team I love.
I mean, I'm a Panthers fan, so I'm gonna be rooting for Bryce Young to get an MVP this year. So in the same boat with you,
Dylan. How did that happen? How did you become a Panthers fan?
I'll give you one guess.
Yeah, okay. Same here.
First NFL draft I ever watched. I was like, all right, wherever Cam goes, where I'm going, and I've been there.
My man.
Thick and thin. I refuse to be a Patriots fan.
It was funny. It was funny watching the Panthers play the Atlanta Falcons and Auburn fans in Atlanta being conflicted about what they want to do. That was funny every year.
Hey, Caesar, I'm a Buccaneer fan, so we play the Panthers twice a year, right? I was never conflicted. I love Cam Newton. There's a picture right over here, right? I was not conflicted. I would bust that ass. So I'm a Buccaneer on Sunday. I love Cam.
Exactly.
Bust that ass,
like
baby.
that's like I'm sorry, man, but if you're rooting for Alan Flanagan when he comes to Neville Arena, I'm
you
like,
already
what
know.
are we doing?
Get him,
what are we
Blake.
doing right now? I don't care how many years he played for Auburn. I don't care.
We said that the other night. I said, I hope he goes 8-0 of 18 from the field.
You can't give him a shot?
No, nothing.
Nope.
He gets nothing.
Nope. I hope he gets pinned off the glass. Like,
wish him the best in life. Sure, he's a
Make
great
him
person,
shoot
but on that
threes.
night,
I'm dead.
We got a full scouting report. Make him
go
shoot.
right, actually.
Yeah, make him go right and shoot threes.
Can't say much. We're gonna be rooting for the girls on the softball team: Bree Ellis in Arkansas and Denver Bryant in South Carolina.
I have no desire to root for either of them either. No.
We will be cheering for the Ellis fans.
Well, so here's the thing:
We'll
they
be
can
rooting
do
for the girls,
they can do
not the team.
amazingly in any game that they don't play Auburn.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't care what they do when they don't play us.
yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
You know what? To not prolong this too much, Stu makes a very good point. 5 natties with game managers and only 1 with an elite QB. And this further bolsters my point. As soon as offense opened up across college football and other teams could match guns with him, how Saban looked on the big stage against quality teams. I'm not going to say anymore.
It's
You've already given us that rant Sunday. Yes.
Yeah. Wait. Oh yeah, that's correct. I would argue that Tua was not an elite quarterback.
I would argue he was not as well.
I would argue he was not. I mean, he was a very good quarterback, but I would argue
I think they're
he was
calling
not
Bryce Young the elite one in this group. Hopefully.
Yeah,
Did Bryce Young win it?
But
No,
he
he
didn't
didn't
win
win
that.
a natty.
He won a natty.
Oh, so you're only counting the quarterbacks that won a net. Yeah, Tua again, good college quarterback, man. I haven't seen it in the NFL. He's had his moments in Miami, but he can't stay healthy, man. He can't stay healthy.
Here's
What about Matt
here's
Flynn
I would
as
say-
well?
Here's what I would say with Stewart though. I think since Kirby left, who was the defensive coordinator after him?
Pruitt.
Pruitt.
Jeremy Pruitt.
After Pruitt left, their defense has been kind of
Trash.
Yeah.
So
Blake-
even with explosive as that offense is, he's been giving up points ever since those guys left.
Blake, you look like you're chomping at the bit to add something to this.
The Tua stuff, man. I mean, when you get to throw to Judy, Ruggs, Waddle, I mean, come on now. I just don't think he's that guy in the NFL. He's one concussion away from retirement, and
he should not have come back after the first. It hurt my soul to watch.
It was scary.
Him.
It was scary.
Yeah, I was like, bro, what are we doing right now?
I was
Like,
upset with them over that.
Yes.
All right, let me get to some of these comments here. John Brandon says, "Y'all want Petway on the show?" I'm texting him right now.
Yeah, of course, John Brandon has Cam Petway's number.
Yeah, sure.
Chris Alexander says Peyton can run, and I agree. I agree.
In the Big Ten.
He's always
Listen,
We've watched plenty of quality
again,
defenses in the Big Ten.
Watch my film review. Michigan's one of the best defenses in the country, and he could run against them. Like he's not. Listen, nobody's going to confuse him for Robbie Ashford. It's not the same. He's not even Bo Nix athletic, right? Like he's oh crap, he took off running quarterback, and because you didn't look for it to happen, he'll go get 7-8 yards on you and get
he's
slide.
a sneaky 5-6 yard QB when he pulls it, and that's what you want out of an RPO quarterback.
Right. I.e. Stidham in 2017, right? You remember that Iron Bowl? Like he actually scrambled for that touchdown. because the lane was wide open. Like, he doesn't have to be elite running. He just has to be effective because everything else is working.
For sure.
All right.
For sure.
Listen, I don't need him to do a lot. I just need him to
He's not a
when
statue,
he's there.
Mike.
If he get like 50 yards a game, I'm good with that. Him rushing wise.
Yeah. I'd be shocked if he.
How much?
if he ran
Oh, yeah. How much?
the
Still?
If he get like 50 yards a game on the
50
ground.
yards? Oh my goodness.
I don't know. About
I don't-
that.
I
I
don't
watched
know.
highlights. He can run a little bit.
He can run a little bit. The question is how many attempts, right? So that's really
a surprise. 50
to
yards.
get to 50. He's probably going to have like 12 attempts, in my opinion, to be able to get to 50 because his total yardage, there's going to be some negative plays in there, right? So to get 50 per game, can he get 50 in a game? Sure. Per game, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
again,
I'm a big dual
it's
threat
going to be
guy.
attempts.
So Robbie Ashford's going to be my quarterback, hopefully going into the season. So
Oh,
I'm a big Ashford truther. I have
All right.
Vincent.
On his own behalf, by the way.
There you go, Dustin.
It's just me.
Well, see, listen. I love Robbie, and I am the proponent of a scrambling passer. And the reason why is it's hard to complete a pass, bro. Like, you've got to block right. The receivers got. I mean, we've seen it over the last 2 or 3 years, just how hard it is to complete a freaking pass. But so just in college, I'm all for just having a guy that can make something happen because college is a little bit more unstructured and helter-skelter than the NFL anyway. But one thing that about Robbie that's kind of, for one, I trust Hugh Freeze. I've wanted Hugh Freeze to be our coach for a long time. That's who I wanted before Potato Head showed up. So now it's like, I trust him. If he brings a guy in and he said he thinks he needed to bring the guy in, I'm going to trust him on that. And also, I'm going to listen to the guys that are around the program. And something I've heard from just about every outlet is, and Hugh's mouth itself, there needs to be an improvement of Robbie Ashford's leadership. If I hear that 20 to 30 times, eventually I'm going to say to myself, there might be a leadership problem there. So as much as I love Robbie, and the thing I love about Robbie is we had QBs last year that didn't want to go in to burn eligibility, and he's going in there with a busted up shoulder, landed all on the line for a season that was pretty much lost. So I loved him. I love the dog. I love the competitor in him. But if you're not doing the things that a quarterback needs to do to be successful, then it's I kind of throw my hands up with it, man. And I love the guy.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze has
we'll
been pretty clear. Hugh Freeze has been pretty clear about what he expects out of his quarterback, from that regard, and what he thinks an SEC quarterback is. So if these guys aren't listening, they should be to the messaging that's coming there, because it's been one of the most consistent messages that he's given since he's been at Auburn. I want my quarterback to hold his head high, to be able to, tough it out through adversity, to be able to forget the last thing he did, and he needs to be a leader on and off the field, right? So they're watching those things, and I'm a big believer that leaders are forged in the offseason when the coaches cannot be out there with you, right? And you have to get guys together, and you've got to throw, and you've got to make sure that guys are doing the things that they're supposed to be doing to get ready for the season. Right? You cannot be a quarterback at this level and not be a leader if you expect to win. And, there are some guys maybe that have a talent that is so transcendent that they can get away with that. But I don't think Auburn has that on the team right now. Right. So there's no guy who's just so talented he can get away with not being a great leader and still walking into a starting job. I think that team chemistry is going to be important. And, I can said it over and over. Hugh Freeze has a type at quarterback. So if you're going to overcome that, whatever he's got there, to be the guy, if you don't fit that type, you need to be all these intangible things as well as talented. So, it's going to be this team has got over 50% of the roster will have come from the portal or from high school. So this is a brand new team. And team chemistry is going to be really important, and how they come together. There's guys who are going to have carryover from the last regime that they're trying to forget and reset. And there are new guys that are coming in, and they're trying to forge a new culture, right? And you have to take those two things, put them together, and then you got to move forward, right, with a team that can be successful. Now, Hugh Freeze is going to get more time, I think, than most coaches would have gotten at Auburn, because I think the higher-ups wanted him. He was chosen.
They're tired of cutting checks to people who aren't going to be on the sideline.
Still paying the last 3 coaches. So, but he also understands that he doesn't have a ton of time to show improvement. Now, he said it, words out of his own mouth. If we're not in the top 7 in recruiting by year 3, everybody here is going to be looking for a job. So he knows you need the Jimmys and the Joes, right? But he's also got to figure out how to win with the guys that he has. Put that proof of concept on the field so that you can go out and get Perry Thompsons and Cam Coleman's to come into your program and give you that little bit of leeway. Brian talks about it. Hey, man, Saban doesn't have to be the best in-game manager because he just goes out and gets the best guys. And they cover for what he lacks as a game day coach. You know, Hugh Freeze is going to want that as well, too, man. Let's see the next DK Metcalf come out of this program.
Yeah.
I want to see it, man. Like, you know, go out and get the guys and get Auburn in that. Like, you know, think about how many times you've looked at a top 10 recruiting class that Gus had without a single 5-star. Not one, right? So, you know, go out and get those 5-star kids, get those can't miss players, man, and get enough of them that you can't actually miss on a couple and still, you know, field a good roster. You know, Auburn has gotten stars, man, but they've misevaluated for a really, really long time. So hopefully Hugh Freeze is changing that.
They never knew how to use those kids.
Hugh's gonna do it, Mike. He brought the Kimdichie brothers to Oxford, Mississippi, man.
I remember that, and that was a battle between us and Auburn for the Kimdichies, wasn't it? Yeah, right. I remember that.
Yeah, what was it? Robert Kimdichie?
Robert Kimdichie.
Yeah, he was the number one player. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and listen, and all the stuff he did to get him is legal now. So we're good.
Hey.
Well, right?
He was before his time. He was a visionary.
Robert was his by the way, before he came in and told us.
He was vindication. I was ahead of my time.
You said Robert was what?
Robert Kimdichie was committed to Clemson before he was
Clemson.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
You have to talk about Hugh Freeze having a type at quarterback. Philip Montgomery actually has a Heisman winner in his resume and RG3. Right. And I mean, Robbie Ashford's no RG3, but he does have some aspects of his game in his game. So.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is what I want to be clear about. So, because people mishear me when I say that he has a type, right? His type, number one, it starts with the off the field leadership ability, right? Like it starts about your ability to galvanize the guys around you in that locker room and get them to buy in to you being the guy and riding with you through mistakes, right? And then it's going to start with you. And then the second part is decision making when you do get in the game. Like, are you making the right reads? Are you getting us out of bad situations? Are you throwing the ball in the places where it's supposed to go, right? And then it comes down to, you know, accuracy. And like, I think it starts with, is he in the right headspace on Saturdays when we wake up and go play a football game? And then when he steps onto the field, does he continue to be that same composed person that's able to make the right decisions regardless of how good or bad the game is going? And then it comes to the athletic stuff, right? It comes to how well can he read defenses and like, and to me, the first two things, unfortunately, have been the biggest bags on Robbie Ashford. Is he doesn't have the leadership, and then he doesn't have the composure. If you don't have those two things, Coach Hugh Freeze doesn't really care that you can run for 300 yards in a football game. He doesn't care that you've got a cannon for an arm. He doesn't care if you're the most accurate quarterback in the world. Can I trust you when the bullets start flying?
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, leadership is something that can be developed,
on the side,
right? Like, I just think, you know, does he have the time, right? And whenever you go out and you get a guy like Peyton Thorne, it shortens that timeline that you have, right, to develop those aspects. Because, again, these coaches have to win now, right? So they don't always have time to wait on a guy to get it mentally, right? And, you know, hopefully those are lessons that are sinking in right now. And you've got to humble yourself, right, first and foremost, and you've got to realize, hey, listen, I do need to improve in this area. And you know, I've always said this, you know, a lot of these guys, man, they're young, they're in their early 20s, they haven't been in the workforce, so they don't understand, right? Like, this is not that dissimilar from just trying to get a promotion at work, where I'm not waiting on my boss to tell me the things that he wants me to do. I'm going to him and I'm saying, hey, listen, I want this promotion, man. Tell me what you need from me, right? Tell me what you need from me. Because if it were me, I'd be in my coach's office saying, hey, listen, you know, here's what I see. Please tell me what you see. Right. And let's make sure we're on the same page. So when it comes time for you to pick a starting quarterback, there's no surprises about, you know, where I'm not shocked about where I stand. Now, Chris Todd came on this show and he talked about that QB battle in 2009. And he said when it came time for them to pick a starting quarterback, they were just kind of calling them into the office in the order they were taking snaps in practice. So he thought, they're calling me in third, I'm screwed. Because if I won the job, I'd be either called in first or last. But they just called him into the order. And when, you know, Gus and Gene told him that he won the job, he was shocked. right? Because he had missed the spring, and he had to come in and win the job in like 8 practices. But he did it, and I think that if I were me, I just wouldn't want that stress. I know it had to be stressful for him, but I just want to figure out how can I figure out where I stand with my coach before it's time, and then put the pressure back on him for the feedback that he's given me. You asked me to do this, and I've done it, right? You asked me to do this. I've done everything that you've asked, and I'm checking boxes, and I'm going to make it the hardest decision of his life when it comes time to pick QB1. But I'm not going to sit back and wait and wonder and then guess, and just say, hopefully he picks me. No, man, go after it. Go after what you want.
I think something to remember, guys, is look at the first high school quarterback he went and got. Does anybody have any question about Walker White's intangibles and leadership?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I says, he has the type.
Agreed. There's an article out, Montgomery Advertiser. Bo Wallace talks about Hugh Freeze, and you get to learn a lot or have an idea of what to expect this fall, just in how he does his QBs. And he basically says he puts them through the fire early so that they're battle tested. And Hugh Freeze wants to see competition. So I'm excited about Thorne and Robbie Ashford this fall. And I really do expect to see, regardless of what happens, I expect to see Robbie Ashford's floor get raised for no other reason than he is trying to prove himself against Peyton Thorne. So I'm looking forward to that in the fall for sure.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you, I'll end on this. A great way to show leadership would be if you don't win this job, to stay engaged and stay encouraging and stay plugged in, because half of the league last year went to their backup quarterback to start an entire game in the SEC last year.
For sure.
Right. And then remember what happened. Remember what happened to TJ Finley when Bo got hurt. He came on and said, I checked out after I didn't win the job. He had a chance to put a stranglehold on the starting job, and he didn't. And your chances can be so few at this level. Don't let go, man. Look at Georgia, man. Back-to-back national champions. They didn't pick Stetson Bennett first, but after Stetson got the job, he never gave it back.
Right.
And you should. That's the attitude you have to have. They don't always pick the right guy the first time. Coaches are not. They're human. That's it. But once you get a chance to play, you need to make it a difficult decision for them to put the other guy back on the field.
Yeah. Facts.
So that's all I'm saying.
Well, what's not a difficult decision is this giveaway we about to do. We giving away T-shirt, guys, courtesy of War Eagle Oil. Ike's finna draw. I stalled enough.
Oh, look how little we are over here.
I know, right?
Only 60 entries. Whatever. I don't care. That's you guys' fault. Somebody's got to win it.
It's gonna be Erica.
Steve. Steve, let us know if you're here, sir. Let us know if you're here. I'm gonna grab this comment Philip Montgomery had, and this is by JB Smooth. Philip Montgomery had 600 yards per game at Baylor. I'm pretty sure we can get at least 175 on the ground.
I think that was Dylan. I think that was RG3's year, right? Like, that was the RG3 offense.
Yes, it would have been.
Plus, yeah, for sure.
The year they went 10-3, I think. And RG3 somehow got a Heisman out of that. Great season.
Listen, he had his numbers were Heisman worthy, but it's not typical that you're going to have a guy that has that many losses and wins the Heisman, which is crazy that Heisman voters are that swayed by wins.
I think he's the last one of that brand of the era of football, because I think Johnny Manziel and RG3 are like the last two that didn't compete in the playoffs or championship.
Yeah.
So
Steve Bradley says he is here. So, Steve, here's what we need you to do. Business at the War Report. Business at the War Report. We need your shirt size as well as your physical address. And that T-shirt will be coming right to you. If you don't send in the shirt size, what is he getting, Mike G?
It's medium. It will not fit.
So send us a shirt size, and it's coming to you. Congratulations. Any closing thoughts, guys, before we get out of here?
200 yards on the ground, man. Listen, I would love to see plus 500 yards of total offense and the balance that you had alluded to in some capacity. Keep teams off balance, but bring back the forward pass. man, it's got to be a thing. It's got to be a thing where they can move the ball through the air, and then it was kind of like after Jeremy Johnson took over for Nick Marshall. We thought it might be.
I just knew he was gonna go crazy that year, bro.
I thought maybe it was going to be the time where the pass actually set up the run, because we had a pure passer that could complete passes at a rate that made teams respect it. And then when they handed the ball off, teams weren't crowding the line. It didn't turn out that way. But
well, you saw it for a 1/2 against Arkansas, right? With Jeremy Johnson. It's like when he torched Arkansas, you was like, oh,
okay,
man.
we
about to see some continuity at this
Mm-hmm.
position.
Yeah, listen, Hugh Freeze has got to find a way to make the expectation that fans had in terms of transitioning from an athletic quarterback to a pure passer somehow a reality at Auburn, right? He's got to change. It's got to change the narrative there, and hopefully his tutelage. He touted two things when he came through the door in his introductory press conference. He said, "I develop quarterbacks and I turn programs around quickly." And I think it is okay for fans and for media alike to hold his feet to the fire over the things that he said that he does well. So, that's what I'm going to be watching, right? I want to see this. I want to see this development at quarterback that he's talking about. And I don't care who it is, whether it's Robbie or Peyton. Pick the right guy and make them, at least second team All SEC.
Okay. I'm here to see it. I'm here for it. Any thoughts before we close out, fellas?
I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity, and everybody in the chat. Thank you for going over to the channel, subscribing. We really appreciate it, and we're ready to blow this thing up, fellas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Listen, bro.
The college loop too. We're down.
We have 10,000 subscribers. We need to get both of these channels past 1,000 subs before football season.
That's
man.
right.
We could do that. Right? Like, there are
very
listen, man. There's 200 people on here right now.
Yes, sir.
Like, let's get them past 1,000 before the season starts, bro.
Stop
Let's
playing
do
with
this,
us.
man.
That would make a couple of guys I know extremely happy.
Yeah, listen, man. There's room for everybody to eat in the Auburn sphere. I think that there is an idea that we're competing, and it's just, man, we just put out as much content as possible. And family is everything. Auburn family actually means something. So War Report family is just a spinoff of that, man. Like,
for sure.
There's room for everybody to eat.
Harrison, Blake, Dylan, Dustin, welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out
sir.
with
Thank
us.
you, Caesar.
No problem.
Ike, tell the folks how they can get a green name, sir.
Listen, you can go ahead and hit that join button. I know the gifts have been plentiful today, so a lot of you are going to get this first month for free. But in order to maintain your green name, you got to take over after that first month. Patron level allows you to get a lot of the stuff that we're doing on Watch the Film on demand, so you can go back and watch that whenever you want to. But if you are a supporter, you can go watch the live stream that we do, and I keep that up usually for the first 24 hours after that. Go ahead and join, man. A lot more coming. Every time I say this, you guys don't believe when I say it for some reason, and then I go and we do something else crazy. We have so much in store for you guys. Trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg, man. We're going to keep doing amazing things. So you guys want to stay tuned for the next stuff that we have coming up. Thank you to everybody who's gifted memberships, man. Since I last said it, Frankie Colazzo, Daniel Moultrie, Drake Barefoot with the 50 bar out there on gifted memberships today. Wesley Hilson with another 5, man. We thank you guys for continuing to gift memberships to the War Report, and we will continue giving you guys those great benefits for that. Normally, I would say check out the Auburn Express right here, but I'm going to make sure to say check out the War Report Pod Network, the College Loop, the Auburn Express, the Uptempo Podcast. You get a bunch of different perspectives. Listen, we don't all agree on what we say about things. We don't all have the same kind of perspectives. You're going to get a lot of different voices, but that's what makes us family. We're out here being able to come together around the commonality that we love Auburn. And sometimes, listen, I don't even agree with these knuckleheads on this show all the time. So I'm definitely not going to agree with the extended family that we now have. Make sure you guys go and check them out and get in where you fit in with all of that stuff. If you didn't get a chance to win anything today, thewarreport.com is the website. We got great merch out there for you guys. Go and check that out. Purchase a little something for yourself so you can rep the brand in whatever way you choose to do so. And one last shout out to our guys at Harmon Mechanical. Make sure you check them out, 334-219-0717 if you're in the Auburn area. You can get that situation taken care of so you're not out here in the heat melting during these Alabama summers. Make sure you hit up Harmon Mechanical.
It's hot.
For sure. Guys, before you get out of here, first off, thanks to y'all for hanging out with us. Thanks to y'all for commenting, super chats, all of that. We appreciate your time. Share this content so that people can get in on it, get in on the conversation. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I mentioned Facebook and Twitter, but we're also on IG at The War Rapport. You can find us on TikTok at TW Rapport as well. That's it for now, guys, but you can catch us on a Friday where we do the morning drop. That's the next time you will see us. But until then, check out our newest members of our family as they're dropping content throughout the week. Do the necessary. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle, baby.